not sure I understand it, but everything seems brighter now than before. I don't know why I feel this way, but every time I hear your name, all my worries disappear, yeah. It's all because of you. I feel the way I do. You make my dreams come true.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Unboss Nightly News. I'm your boy, your host, DaVante Goins. As you are going to notice, there's been a lot of changes here with the network, and not just with the network, but with this show. We're going to get into all of that tonight, but we are also going to be talking about tonight about the Columbus Police personnel buyout program, where about a week and a half ago now, a total of 217 Columbus Division police personnel, ranging from commanders on down to regular officers, applied for a one-time $200,000 buyout available to a maximum of 100 eligible officers. And it leaves the new current Chief Elaine Bryant and other city officials with some tough decisions. Also, what should a political debate look like? I wanted to get into that whole conversation tonight because the way in which we see political debates these days are like horrible. There's like no accountability, and not only no accountability, but no follow-up. So we're going to get into that. And then Morgan Harper debated former state treasurer Josh Mandel in Cleveland tonight. Who won? Let me just say, Morgan showed up tonight, and she showed out. We're going to get into that. And then I'm sure we've all heard by now, and if you haven't heard, you're going to hear that the Ohio Supreme Court, they're just fucking getting fed up with the state's redistricting commission within the state legislature right now. And so the court wants now a written explanation by 12 p.m. on this coming Wednesday for why the commission shouldn't be held in contempt for failing to draw new legislative maps. So we're going to talk about what contempt of court means, what it is, and all that. And then last but not least, Columbus City schools, they're just really struggling right now to find substitute teachers. So to give you an idea and to frame this story up a little bit before we talk about it later in the show tonight, the district has now about 30% substitution fill rate. So what that means is if the district has 100 teachers out in one day, they're only going to be able to fill 30 of those slots. So we're going to talk about that, because on the flip side of that, while we only have a 30% substitute fill rate, the superintendent just got one hell of a pay raise. So I'm not saying she didn't deserve it. I'm not saying she does deserve it. But, well, yes, I am saying she doesn't really deserve it. Let me stop that line. But we're going to get into that later in the show. But let's go back up and talk about the police buyout program. So simply, as I was just telling you that a total of 217 Columbus police per have a $200 bond eligible to 100 people, 100 police officers. And so what that means is the city is going to buy out their time. They're going to spend $2 million essentially doing it. And what this is essentially supposed to do is it's supposed to help root out some of the bad cops and things like that. And it will do that. It will do that. But the reason why we are asking tonight, will it work? Is essentially because we are expecting our police to do a lot more right now, but we aren't really giving them here in the city the resources to do it. Now, stick with me because a lot of you are probably saying, well, I thought you were a supporter of defund the police. Well, I am, but I'm going to explain what I mean by defund police because that whole term is just out of gotten like way out of order and out of context because people don't know what the hell the term really means at its best. And so when I talk about defunding the police, I'm talking about reallocating funds. Now, let me push this a little bit further. Last year, we all know we had a record number of homicides set in this city, over 200. I believe the final count was like 204 here in this city. And so, with that final count and that record number happening, not just the last year in 2021, but also in 2020, and to go along with those record number of homicides, juxtapose in 2020 all the corruption that came to light within CPD and us losing brother Andre Hill, yet another black guy, a black man at the hands of CPD. Shit just got all out of hand. So last year in June, the occupant of City Hall, the y'all's Mayor Andy Ginther. It took me a moment to get that out. Andy, he brought in Police Chief Elaine Bryant, who was essentially a deputy police chief up in Detroit, Michigan. And Elaine, what Chief Bryant's task was to do is to, as they like to say, reimagine public safety, but not just reimagine public safety, but to bring about change within the division. Now, did she know she was going to be coming into a record setting homicide year of a record number of killings? Is it? No, she probably didn't know that. But secondly, she's no stranger to it, to the homicide sides being high and things like that, because they're high in Detroit too. So is she the right person for the job? Yes, I do believe she's the right person for the job, but let me just say this to all of you watching, and it may shock the hell out of you all out there watching and listening to us tonight right here on Nightly News. But I fundamentally, let me be very careful and let me state this very slowly so you all get this and you can't misconstrue the words that are coming out of my mouth at this time. I fundamentally do not think it is the right ideal at the time to be buying out 100 plus officers contracts, giving them $200,000. I get the ideal, and the ideal is a phenomenal ideal to root out some of these bad cops within CPD. A phenomenal ideal, but that's just not the right move, because we had a record number of homicides in the city. Then we got all this violence and things going on with the schools. No, we shouldn't be putting officers back in schools, but we also have to understand that with 100 officers now leaving the division because their contracts are being brought out. What we now have to fundamentally understand, everybody, is that it will affect our response times when we go to call 911. I know when we call 911 right now, and if I was to pick up my phone and call 911 right now, depending on what the situation was, it would still feel like it took officers 10 minutes. And where we're broadcasting out of live remotely, because we aren't in a studio tonight, we're in a remote studio. We're literally a quarter of a mile to a half a mile away from a subdivision here within the precinct of where we're broadcasting right now. And it would still take officers that long. And I know this for fact from talking to several officers out there that on any given day, on any given shift, a precinct is supposed to have a set number of officers, but they very rarely ever have a full staff of those officers. So will the buyout program that's underway right now work? No, it will not work. So let me take this a little further. So among all of those who have applied for this program, there are 7 members of the Mounted Horse Unit. The entire 3-member therapy dog unit has applied for this, as well as 5 crime scene investigators and 7 members of the division's training bureau and a dozen detectives tasked with investigating everything from homicides to property crimes. And we're also losing quite a few community liaison officers. And not to mention, we are going to be losing, I believe, if my recollection serves me correctly, because I have a list of in what department they're, I'm sorry, not department, but not only what rank they're in, but yeah, what department they're serving in, whether they are a detective or in the therapy dog unit or crime scene investigation or traffic. I have a spreadsheet of all of that through that I've obtained through records requests from a CPD, and out of that, I know that 5 commanders have applied for this buyout program as well. Not only have 5 commanders, but a handful of lieutenants and a handful of sergeants have applied for it as well. And a little over about 160 so officers and detectives applied for it. So the question now becomes, how do you, if this program is to succeed, how do you determine who gets this buyout program? Now on the list, the spreadsheet, there is a ranking, and I don't know if they will go by this ranking, but there is a ranking by seniority of each of these 217 officers who have applied for this buyout program. They're ranked by seniority. But that still begs the question and leaves us to wonder, how are they going to determine? Even the Fraternal Order Police Chief, I'm sorry, not Chief, but Fraternal Order of Police President Keith Farrell, he's even applied for this buyout program. So, the buyout program, according to the Dispatch and their reporting on this, because there's been very little reporting at all done on this. I think the Dispatch is the only outlet so far that has done anything on it. I know Channel 10 did a little bit on it, but not Not much. They just told us everything I told you at the top of the show that you can obtain by doing a records request. They didn't like really go in deep and determine how the decision will be made and if it be made in phases and things like this. But according to the Dispatch's reporting today, in the Dispatch, it says this, that there were about 500 officers who were eligible to apply for the buyout, but only 217 did. And up until right before the buyout incentive program closed, there were people still putting in their names. There was a commander who put in his name like literally hours before the program closed out to apply for it. So nearly 80 of those people, of those 217 officers on this list who have applied for the buyout program, have 30 or more years of on the job experience, time on the job. So obviously, those are officers who have 30 years or more are the more senior officers. But the question I have, and I'm also going to be emailing Fuqua tonight about this, is out of those senior officers, 80 or so, how many of those officers put in for the drop program, but then still put in for this buyout program? So out of those 80 who have 30 or more years of experience, obviously they're going to be offered the buyout program first, obviously, because they have more senior. But what we are being told is that if the buyout program and buyout offer of $200,000 is accepted once it is offered to you on this list, you will be able to depart and to retire or to leave the department, or however you want to phrase it, beginning in a staggered period beginning in May. I left a pause right there because I said at the top when we begin to talk about this, and I began to dig into the story, that the program was, or I shouldn't say the program, but the ideal for this program was a phenomenal ideal. It was phenomenal because, like Mayor Ginther, Andy, is saying, is it is meant for those officers who felt they no longer wanted to be police officers in Columbus. Because keep in mind, during the protests of 2020, that we were also losing a lot of officers, whether senior or young, not due to them being racist, but them just saying, I can't deal with this type, this climate right now that's going on. It's not what I signed up for when I said I wanted to protect and serve. Now, Columbus police have also not only been guilty of shooting and killing in the last 2 years brother Andre Hill, but they also took our princess Micaiah Bryant from us as well. And through all of this change that not only the administration and city hall and city council have been trying to bring about, I have to wonder, before I go to commercial here, one can't help but wonder, did you think about that thing they taught you back in elementary school, probably around the second or third grade, where they said in science class, to every action, there is a reaction. Simply put, for every cause, there is an effect. So let me give you an example. The protests of 2020 happened because of all these civil unjust and civil unrests that we as Black folks face, not just in this city, but at the hands of police, but also around this country. While that's going on, that's the cause. The effect now is to reform police, reform CPD. And the way we are going about reforming CPD, we're asking more of CPD officers. Wow. We want them to get to our houses quicker. We not only want them to get to our houses quicker, but when they get to our house, we want them to go above and beyond the limits of protecting to serve. We want them to play psychiatrists. We want them to do a whole litany of things that can go on and on and on, naming here on tonight. Wow. Not really giving them the resources. And when I say the resources, I want you to know I just explained what I meant about when I said I am a fan of defunding the police, but I'm talking about reallocating funds while not giving them the appropriate amount of people to work with. And keep in mind that the city here, city council, last year in 2021, coming out of 2020, they did defund the police by a few $1,000s. They did defund CPD, but I do understand why they had to increase their budget, and CPD's budget is the largest budget within the operating budget that's over $1 billion here in this city. CPD gets over 33% of the operating budget, which is close to $400 million. And out of that $400 million, a little over a half of that goes to paying personnel costs. But yet, we want more from them. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just simply giving you all the facts. So we got to figure out what do we want? Do we want them to be able to protect and serve and be there when we need them to be there with a quick response time and things like that, or do we not? I'm telling you right now that last year it was November, right before Thanksgiving, right where I live a block over, somebody got shot and killed. I called 911 and I got like the nth degree on what was happening, if I knew what car the shoot. No, I just heard bullets. Do I know what the I heard pop 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 pop. You think I'm going out there? No. But what I can't, I'm like, look, it happened on the next block. I can tell you that just by proximity and being able to hear. But not only that, when I called them, they didn't arrive on scene for almost 7 minutes afterwards, after the shooting happened. 7 minutes. So will the buyout program that's underway by the city work? I don't know. It's a noble ideal, though, but will it work? I don't know. We're back right after this.
I believe that I haven't spoke to my father in almost a year,
Let's go to Dayton, Ohio now, where the second mass shooting in the United States has occurred in just 13 hours.
Green. The year 2019 was the worst year I ever had in my life. At the end of May, my house was taken away by the tornadoes that hit Dayton, Ohio. The first day that I ended up getting out to hang out with my father, August 4th, 2019, mass shooter come walking down the side of the building and opened fire, killing 9 in 32 seconds and injuring multiple people.
Newly released video shows panicked patrons screaming and taking cover in a nearby bar.
Into purpose and power, I created my foundation, the Fudge Foundation. It stands for my father's name, Derek Fudge. It stands for flourishing under distress, giving encouragement. I've been helping survivors get the resources they need. We are the ones that are still here living.
First of all, he might not have been able to go ahead and get away with that. Fighting all of our ancestors and shit like that, bro.
Because they was mad. Like, first off, there's a major snitch in the city of Columbus.
Absolutely. There's plenty of them.
Sometimes your life won't turn out how you planned it. It turns out how you work for it. How you wake up and you chase that dream every single morning. It's what you give your time and your energy to that takes you to the next level. And that's royalty. You see, many of us believe that just because our father was a drug dealer and our uncle was a drug dealer, that is our life and that is our forever. But I want you to know something. That is only a lesson to show us to be something more. It's a mentality. Roses can grow in the projects if you take care of the soil. It don't matter how big the house is, baby. It's the love inside of it. Take care of your community.
All right, welcome back to Unbossed Nightly News tonight. We got a jam-pack show tonight. I don't know if we'll get to every single story here, but we're going to do our best to cover every single story here. But before we go into our next story, I do want to say it's been since Election Day, nearly 90 days since we were able to sit down and talk like we do every night. I haven't done this in quite some time, and as you'll notice that we aren't the Unbought and Unbossed show anymore. We've evolved into Unbossed Nightly News now. You're going to hear more about that in the days and weeks to come as we roll out other shows here on the network within our news division and in our entertainment division. We've been doing a ton of work, and the team is phenomenal. It's just so much. We've booked a lot of a great content filmed. Got a lot of great shows in the bag, and just can't wait to get them to air for you all, and you'll be seeing those all in the next 2 to 3 weeks, God willing, and I'm really excited about it. But I'm happy to be back here Monday through Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern time, having our chats like we do, talking about our stories from our perspective that matters. Later this week, I will be sitting down one-on-one with Morgan Harper, who's running for United States Senate here in Ohio for the vacant seat that's going to be left vacant by current U.S. Senator, Republican Senator Rob Portman. We'll be sitting down with her, and we'll also be sitting down with a host of other people this week too, and bringing their stories and things to you as well. But let's shift gears a little bit here. But as we're shifting gears, I'm really I'm just at a loss for words because I'm so happy to be back. As we were preparing to come on air here, we were watching the debate, and this is actually a good segue into the debate. Myself and a couple of the other news division show hosts and things like that, and the debate between Morgan Harper and Josh Mandel, and it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. But as we were watching the debate, about at around 8:30, as the debate was ending, I turned to my producer, and I turned to them on Zoom because we're working remotely right now. And I asked my producer, I said, so we have an idea what we want to talk about tonight, but because of the debate tonight, and we were watching the debate, we kind of didn't like frame out the show like we normally would, and like we had been doing in rehearsals and things like that for the past couple weeks. And my producer looked at me and he was like, well, throw out the rundown tonight, boss. Throw out the rundown tonight, D. And so we threw out the rundown. And so when what that means is when we throw out the rundown is I literally I'm not looking at any notes or anything like that. We're just having a conversation, me and you, and I'm looking directly into this beautiful 4K Panasonic camera, just talking with you and covering the stories because if you know it, know the news and you know the facts, you should be able to sit down simply and have a conversation with you. And we simply don't get that enough with our media and news outlets out there today with here locally. And so this is what we are going to be hoping to do with you on Nightly News. This is sit down with you every night to give you the facts of the story, and then give you our analysis and commentary about the day's stories and issues as well. And here in the coming days, probably by next week sometime, we are going to add in the capability for you to call in so we can engage with you all that way. And so there will be a phone number available to you all to call in, and we could have our chats. Also, I would be remiss if I wouldn't tell you that all of this is only made possible because of all of you out there who support local Black-owned media. So if you want to become a member of the Unbossed fan club and continue to help us build out all of these shows, and to buy more equipment, and to expand out the studios and things like that. We have a gorgeous studio that I can't wait to get back in to broadcast live, and we did election night coverage out of it, and we'll do the State of the Union coverage out of it as well. But all of that's only possible because of you all, and we simply ask each of our members. We're asking about 20,000 of our members to give annually $50 a year, which will give us about $1 million to work with, so we can bring on video editors and producers and things like this to help us expand out the network. And when I tell you that you all alone last year helped us raise, you all alone raised 30 grand last year off of what you give. You made that possible. You made keeping on the lights in the midst of a pandemic possible. You made bringing on and being able to develop all of these new shows possible, and bringing on not only producers, but bringing on a news division president and things like that. You all and your money and your contributions made that possible. So if you want to contribute, go to Cash App, and you can give to us on Cash App at $Unbossed Fan Club. That's $Unbossed Fan Club. So let's get into this debate. This debate that took place tonight. I do want to play a couple clips for you tonight of the debate. I'm not going to get into the debate and its fullness and give you a whole synopsis of what happened. I'm going to save that for tomorrow because I want more time to analyze my thoughts on the debate between Morgan Harper and Josh Mandel that happened up in Cleveland tonight. What I first want to start off by saying is Morgan showed the hell up tonight. She really did. She whooped Josh Mandel's ass. I will say that the first debate, Morgan lost the first debate, but the second debate that just concluded about an hour ago, Morgan showed up and whooped Josh's ass. Simple as that. Simply put. So what set Morgan back and what is going to take over the conversation about the debate is what I am about to play for you right here. Morgan didn't shake his hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us.
As you see right there, Morgan, she didn't shake Josh's hand. Now, two things right there. One, number one, Morgan should have shook his hand. She should have. Number two, I get why she didn't. He said like 6 times he called her an angry black woman. Like 6 times, and then like 3 times, well, 2 out of the 3 times he said she was the smarter version of AOC. And then the last time he brought that up, he not only said she was the smarter version of AOC, but right in that particular moment she was being the dumb version of AOC. Don't get what he meant right there. He was trying to throw a jab at her getting an Ivy League education, but she worked hard for it, got good grades, and was able to get scholarships for that. But Morgan, you should have shook his hand, because now you not shaking his hand at the end, I have to spend time talking about this, because it's you say you're going to be the senator for all people, for everybody here in Ohio, and you're going to be willing to work across the aisle. But what does it say when you show that your opponent got a little bit under your skin, Morgan? What does that show? Not only Josh Mandel, but what does it show Tim Ryan? Tim Ryan came out today and said he would debate whoever qualified, and meaning by qualified, what he meant by that, everybody, is petition certifying, and we're going to get into that. Whoever certified, and meaning qualified, he would debate them later in March. And not only would he debate them later in March, but that he would debate them at Central State and HBCU. So, and you've been asking for a debate from, and some would say begging from a debate from Tim Ryan for months now, and now he's finally giving you the opportunity, Morgan. Tim probably will get under your skin, but shake his damn hand, please. So folk like me and all these it doesn't take over the narrative of the story. Now, I said I wasn't going to spend much time on this tonight, but I do want to play a clip right here. If I could get it pulled up, where BLM got called Black Lives Matter was the topic of discussion, and the audience, they had a lot to say about it, and the moderators, it wouldn't be their first time of the night, but the moderators also had to kind of gain control of not just the audience, but of the candidates, and just the whole situation and what comes with moderating. So here, I want to play this clip for you right here. So not that clip. So here's the clip right here, and All right, so I was just told you all can't hear, so let me rewind. Let me back this up a little bit, and and get what this sound. All right, so here we go.
Matter as thugs.
Uh-huh. And then he come in the black community.
Hey, we're not doing that.
Put him out.
Please.
You mean like put him out like with a bullet?
Mr. Mandel.
What do you mean put him out?
Mr. Mandel.
Ask him to leave.
Mr. Mandel.
Oh, I
He
thought
don't
this was
belong in the
America.
black community.
Hey,
I thought this was America where we debate free.
Hey, sister, listen to me. Don't do that. I got this. Don't do that.
They shouldn't have let him in.
No, this is America. He can be here. Don't do that. Don't embarrass me.
I'm not embarrassing.
No, you don't.
Let me stop it right there. I'm with the young lady in the crowd. We don't see her face, but I know she's older, so I'll call her Auntie for the sake of this. I'm with Auntie. I'm not embarrassing you calling him out. I'm not. It is what it is. And the moderator saying, "Don't embarrass me." How are you embarrassed, moderator? That's what I would like to know. How in the world are you embarrassed? Don't embarrass you. Last time I checked, nobody was embarrassing you. But here, let's hear the rest of this exchange out.
To bring that white man in the black community like that.
You don't have to leave, man.
I'm finished.
Okay.
But
please.
don't you suck up to him.
Listen.
He's in the black community.
I'm doing my job.
He's calling my parents thugs.
Ma'am,
Make him answer
I'm the
the
moderator.
question.
I'm in charge. I want you to sit down and be quiet.
Let me tell you something, ma'am.
Mr. Mandel.
I put my life in the hands of young black guys. I had young black men put their life in my hand in the United States Marine Corps and 2 tours in Iraq. So don't stand there and lecture me. Those are my brothers. Whether they were black or they were white or they were Hispanic or they were Asian, those are my brothers in the Marine Corps. So don't stand there and lecture me about race and color. We put our lives in each other's hands. Those are my brothers as Marines.
Mr. Mandel, I'm the moderator over here. I'm asking you to pay attention to me. And ma'am, you in the calling post, will you please stop? All right. Mr. Mandel, again.
We'll leave that where it is, and I'll let you hear the rest of that clip in exchange tomorrow night as he reacts as the question. But let me first start off by saying, since he brought up his service with him being a Marine, thank you for your service. Thank you, Josh. But I never once heard either the moderator or Auntie bring up anything about your service and about you serving with black people. The whole question was about your comments on Black Lives Matter over the past and your rhetoric over the past 2 years. But you failed to answer that question because you pivoted to your service and how they're your brothers and sisters and how you served with them in the military. But like Auntie said, those are our brothers, those are our cousins and nephews. Hell, myself even, that you have referred to as thugs, animals. And you've done it because of this current political climate and the endorsement you were seeking to get, but you didn't from the former occupant of the White House, Trump, who's 45. You brought that up because you're trying to get all of his supporters to come over to you and to support you. I fundamentally Don't get that. Why in the world did you have to bring up your military record in that exchange? What was the point in it? If you were going to bring up anything, you should have brought up how, while you refer to BLM as thugs and animals, you were like, God bless America for the real rioters on January 6th. Not protesters, but rioters and insurrectionists who overtook our capital. America fell on January 6th. But you didn't refer to them as that on January 6th. But for the protests of 2020, you refer to us as pigs and animals. And yes, I collectively say us because I am black. I'm first and foremost black. My mom told me when I was growing up, and she would reiterate to me time and time again, her and my grandmother and my aunts, that I was born into this world with 2 marks against me and 2 strikes against me. Knowing that 3 strikes, you're out of the ball game, I already got 2, and they are that I'm black and I'm a man. Knowing that I got those 2 strikes against my ass already coming in, I need not fuck up again. Need not fuck up again. But I can't help but do it when I'm continuing to see all this injustice from white folk like you who go around waving your Bibles and waving the American flag in the other hand, wanting to throw us back to the 17 and 16 and 1800s and the early 1900s as well. To you white folks who hold the Bible in one hand and the American flag, and the other who still view me as property and view every other person that looks like me as property too. You all are still hunting us till this day. I can name names. Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Michael Brown. Need I go on? I can name names here in Columbus. I can name a litany of names that go way beyond Andre Hill, Casey Goodson Jr., Micaiah Bryant. It just goes way. Miles Jackson. Goes way beyond those. And those are just in the last 2 years alone. That's here locally. I go to Minneapolis and really go down the list over the last 2 years. You need not want me to do that. I'll just keep it here locally here in Columbus. Hell, I'll keep it here in Ohio for you. Tamir Rice. But let me hop off this subject here for I get pissed off. But Morgan, bottom line, you should have shook his hand. Now that's all we're all talking about about the debate is you didn't shake his hand immediately when the debate ended. The debate had been over like 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, and my phone is blowing up via text messages, and I get a couple calls saying, did she not shake his hand? Did I see? I'm like, yeah, you saw correctly. She didn't. I said, I get why she didn't. And they were like, no, that's bad. I know that's bad. Just calm down. But I get why she didn't shake his hand. And I'm with her. I'm with her. I feel her. I know why she didn't. Hell, if I was debating him, that would have been me too. Not wanting to shake his hand. But you got to shake his hand because politically it doesn't score you any points not to shake his hand. Hell, even Hillary shook Trump's hand. Even Biden shook Trump. Damn. This is so damn pathetic. I have to talk about this. I can't even get it out. Even Biden shook Trump's hand. Didn't want to, but they did. But hey, that leads me to the next conversation tonight that we need to have, and that is what a real political debate should look like. So I have been reaching out to a few candidates over these last couple weeks, and I'm continuing to reach out to the candidates and their campaigns because in the coming weeks, I want Unbossed Nightly News to hold a variety and a multitude of political forums and debates. But when it comes to our current political debate climate, it definitely needs to be changed. It needs to be reformed, refreshed. Not just that, if some of you like the phrasing reimagine, call it whatever you may, it just ain't working. What we see these days when it comes to debates are not debates. So what we are suggesting is a new frame, a new format, a new way of thinking of a debate where I would put each of the candidates who are debating, and if it's 3 or 4, all of them would be put on a witness stand, and I would cross-examine them for the defense and for the prosecution, meaning for the people and for the opposition. But not only that, when it comes to debates, questions need to be tougher. Not only do questions need to be tougher, but the candidates who are taking the microphones and the podiums at these debates need to be able to square their campaign rhetoric with facts. They simply need to be able to square their rhetoric and be able to back up everything they're talking about with facts. They need to be able to not only walk the walk and talk the talk, but they need to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk and chew gum all at the same time. And we haven't been holding them to that. Our candidates up there using Josh Mandel and Morgan Harper tonight. Candidates, whether Democrat or Republican, because the Democrats spout off a lot of bullshit too, as well as the Republicans. I'm not just going to hit the Republicans because the Dems, they spout off a lot of bullshit too. And for all of you wondering, I am an independent. I vote both Democrat and Republican. So for those of you wondering out there, I am a registered independent. But these candidates, when they take these microphones at these debate stages, they need to be stopped when they're not answering the questions that are asked of them, and they need to be called out when their answers are contradicted by facts. And I think Morgan kind of did a good job of this tonight when it wasn't really her job to be doing it. It was the moderator's job to be calling them out and to stop them when they weren't answering questions. Like Josh Mandel a couple times decided to answer a question, but was totally off in la la land answering the question, and it wasn't even on topic. And Morgan had to remind him, like, look, we're talking about education here. We're talking about this here a couple times. So they need to be stopped when they're not answering questions. So with this new debate format, we've been proposing to candidates not only running for Franklin County Commission here, but also running for the Ohio State House and the Ohio Senate, but also a few other races here. What it's going to be our job here at Unboss, my job as the moderator representing Unboss and representing Nightly News will be to find out whether on the Republican side or on the Democratic side, to find the two candidates, one Republican and one Dem, who will give you all, the voters, the best competing arguments. Meaning, I am going to put you on the witness stand and I am going to question you until I'm done asking questions. And I'm going to have all the facts backed up, and I'm going to be prepared when I show up to moderate the debate, because if you come at me with some bullshit, or if you come at the American voter with some bullshit, I'm going to come back and say, that ain't right. But you said this on such and such date, but now you're saying this. We're going to hope, we need to, before these politicians or these people ever become politicians or elected officials, before we ever vote for them, we need to know that they are going to be the best representative and be the best representative of our voice when we put them in that elected office. So there are simply going to be 3 rules, everybody. Simply 3 rules. The first rule is that there are going to be no rules. I know that's contradicting itself, that there's 3 rules, and the first one is that there are no rules, but it's no rules. The second one is I'm going to question the candidate until I am done and until I feel they have answered the question sufficiently enough for you, the voter, so you can be well informed when you go into that ballot box on election day. The third rule is going to be that each candidate, they're going to have the opportunity to give an opening and a closing statement, but immediately after opening statements, we're going to move into questioning, and we are going to get some answers. So that's the format, the concept of what a real political debate should look like, that we are talking to some campaigns about right now, and trying to get them to the table to have a real debate. Let's leave all that mockery and that foolishness alone. Leave it out there, and let's have a real fucking debate. Let's have a real debate. And for all of you out there who are wondering right now why having a real debate is important to us here at Unbossed, but not just to us here at Unbossed News, but to all of you at home, and why it should be important to all of you at home. When we sit down in our rundown meetings, we ask ourselves three questions when we decide what stories we are going to cover in the night's shows. The first question we always ask ourselves is, will this story be important and have an effect on the ballot box when our voter goes into the ballot box? So that's why having a real debate is very, very important, because people are just allowed to just say any type of shit they want to say these days, and not be held accountable for it. And that's how Washington ends up like it is today. Not only is that how Washington ends up looking like it does today, it's how downtown Columbus ends up looking like it does today. And I'm referring to the State House and in some form City Hall, and to the Columbus School Board of Education, is because we didn't hold them accountable while they were running, and we didn't put them on a witness stand and literally cross-examine them and make them stand and give a response for every word they had said before they got elected to that job, and before we started paying them to do that job. So when we come back, we have to talk about this whole redistricting thing let me just say this before we go to commercial and before we get to that story. What's going on? The Supreme Court is just fucking fed up, and we're in unprecedented times. We're in unprecedented times, and we also have another story we need to get to tonight before we get out of here, and it's about Columbus City schools struggling to find substitute teachers. So we got all that and much more to come right after this.
First of all, you might not have been able to go ahead and get away with that, fighting all of our ancestors and shit like that, bro.
Because they was mad. Like, first off, there's a major snitch in the city of Columbus.
Absolutely. Just put him.
I believe that I haven't spoke to my father in almost a year, you know.
Let's go to Dayton, Ohio now, where the second mass shooting in the United States has occurred in just 13 hours.
Green. The year 2019 was the worst year I ever had in my life. At the end of May, my house was taken away by the tornadoes that hit Dayton, Ohio. The first day that I ended up getting out to hang out with my father, August 4th, 2019, mass shooter come walking down the side of the building and open fire, killing 9 in 32 seconds and injuring multiple people.
Newly released video shows panicked patrons screaming and taking cover in a nearby bomb.
Into purpose and power, I created my foundation, the Fudge Foundation. It stands for my father's name, Derek Fudge. It stands for Flourishing Under Distress, Giving Encouragement. I've been helping survivors get the resources they need. We are the ones that are still here living.
Man, I just love that singer. You know, start get to bumping and things like that. But anywho, wow, already over half the way through the show tonight. It's just blowing by, and I don't know if you all are quiet tonight in the comments. I know my DMs weren't quiet, and my text messages weren't quiet during the debate. But all of you are you were wanting to know my thoughts, but all of you seem to be quiet tonight in the comments. But that's all right. Like I said, we are working on right now adding in the call-in feature to where you'll be able to call or text us here at Nightly News and engage with us in these discussions because we fundamentally need to hear your voices out there because everything we do here and every story we cover here is of a direct impact to you, the voter, and you, the viewer out there. And when I say a direct impact, it's a direct impact to us as Black folks in this city. I make no apologies, and I tell everybody. And when I say I tell everybody, I mean I tell everybody. I'm in so much shit right now, trying to make sure Unbossed News, our news division of Unbossed, is getting the same information and being put on all the press releases and things like that, getting the same notices that mainstream media does, because we don't do the news and we don't have we have the same conversations they have, but in our way, in our form of having those conversations and trying to educate ignorant folk. And yes, I said ignorant folk in certain positions that they have no business being in because they don't understand the history of not just media in this country, but the history of mainstream media, independent media, and Black media. And I let everybody know we are Black owned media. And I don't give a shit who it is. The mayor, your mama, your auntie, Unbossed, we keep it black and a black here. And the conversations we have here are real conversations. The conversations that chances are you're having around the dinner table probably right now. Not only that you're having around the dinner table, but the conversations that you're having with your coworkers and your friends. And we talk to you just like you would talk to one of them. And we talk to you in a way that you are going to understand the conversation and the news and the issues of the day. Yeah, I could stand up here and read and have a teleprompter in front of me and read from that teleprompter. And today there was a shooting in Northeast Columbus, and there was an 18-year-old. No. But no, that's not how we do it. We have to talk to us and have these conversations in a certain way in which we understand them. No shit, there was a shooting in Northeast Columbus. There's shootings all across the city that aren't reported on by mainstream media because there are so many. I don't say that to scare anybody, but there's a lot of shootings that happen that never get reported because A, nobody gets hurt, and B, the police are never dispatched out. I'm just stating facts here. I'm just stating merely facts here. It is what it is. But let's get into this whole redistricting story right here. I know the Chief Justice has to be like, what in the fuck are these Republicans doing? Are they simply just going to defy a court order? I told them that they needed to go back and redraw these maps and to make them more constitutionally fair. And they didn't. They said they couldn't. But then what I find interesting is that some Republicans got together and they filed suit in federal court and the U.S. Southern District Court on last Friday, I believe. Yes, last Friday, asking for the U.S. federal court to basically overrule the state court. And it's very, very rare. In fact, it's so rare that I don't even think there's any precedence for it. And I've looked and couldn't find any, but that doesn't mean there's not. But it's that type of rare for a federal court to overrule a state Supreme Court. So I don't think the 3-judge panel that in the U.S. Southern District that these group of Republicans has filed their suit with to say, hey, look, we don't have time to do these maps. They aren't going to get any better. So you need to go with map 2. Can you overrule the state Supreme Court? I don't know of any federal court who would do that, but hey, we're in unprecedented times. What makes this whole redistricting thing even more interesting and scary is a few different things. Number one, we are getting so fucking dangerously close, y'all. So close to violating federal law to where it's not funny. Notice I didn't say state law, I said federal. We're getting so close to violating federal law. And what I mean by that is that I believe it's 40 days out from when the state primary or whenever the primary date is set. You have to have absentee ballots mailed out to over people who are like our military vets who and our members of our armed forces who are voting overseas, and just people who want to vote on absentee ballot alone. But the reason why we are getting dangerously close is because with these maps, these maps make up the districts and make up the and these districts are made up of the people who go downtown to the state house to represent us, both on the state house side for representatives and both on the Senate side. So there are 99 state house seats and 33 Senate seats, meaning that there are 99 state state house, state rep districts. And here in Columbus, we make up a District 25, District 3, and District 26, or we did make up those 3 state house districts here in Columbus. Now I'm not sure what we make, because based on one of the maps, the district that our studios for Unbossed is headquartered in State House District 25, which is also the district that I live in, is represented. Our representative right now is State Rep Dontavius Gerals, and as it stands right now, and if we were to go based off of map 2 or map 1, State Rep Gerals would flip with State Rep Kristen Boggs, and we would have for the first time in our history, a white person representing this district. But let me push this even further, playing out this little political context and explaining this all for you. So what makes this even more interesting is State Rep Kristen Boggs, I believe, as Noun said, she isn't running for re-election. She's running for another political office. I believe it's a judgeship. I believe she's running for judge. There's so much going on, so bear with me as I try and explain all of this out to you all right now, and I try and make it relevant to you and make it digestible in a way in which we all can understand it, because it's so many moving pieces to this. So you got that part of it going on. So not only do you got that part of it going on, the state Supreme Court last week on Wednesday, Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor gave the deadline of last Wednesday at 10 p.m. to have the maps drawn. They didn't have them drawn by then. In fact, they didn't even come to the table, the Republicans. And there's 5 Republicans. And out of the 5 Republicans, they are made up of the governor, Mike DeWine, the Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, and the majority leader, I believe, and 2 other people within the Republican Party in the State House. And there are 2 Democrats. The Republicans are in control. And before I go any further, one of the things that frustrates me when it comes to redistricting and talking about redistricting is this is an important topic. So important that it frustrates me that it only comes up every 10 years when the census is done. And every 10 years, we seem to have fights like this. But this is even more interesting because the state constitution got changed. There was an amendment in 2015 that kind of complicates this a little bit, because there were new rules put into place. New rules put into place. So, what's merely going on, if I could bring this, bring some closure to you all in this. So simply put this. What the court said in an announcement today, basically, is that the clerk shall refuse to file a response that is untimely. Meaning that no requests or stipulations for an extension of time can or shall be filed, and the clerk shall refuse to file any request or stipulations for an extension of time. You know, it's something when they say it twice and say it frontwards and backwards. Meaning, your time is up. So to all my basketball players out there, shot clock, 25 seconds on the shot clock. It's time for you to go up because you only got 1 second left on the clock. All my football fans, all my football players, it's time for you to snap the fucking ball because there's only 2 seconds left on the clock for you to snap the ball, or you're going to be charged with a down or a timeout. Time is up, and the court is sick and fucking tired of all of this bullshit charades going on right now with the Republicans. And you know what? I loved how crafty. Hell, I gotta give it to him. I love how crafty the governor and Secretary of State is. The governor, Mike DeWine. Governor DeWine, he got on TV on Wednesday and did a little press eval afterwards, and he was like, "Hey, look, it's not my fault." The other members on the commission, I tried to tell them we need to come up with something. The court isn't going to like this. We need to come up with something, but it ain't my fault. I did all I could do in there, and if I don't, we still won't get anything done, and I've done all I could do. He got on TV and basically said that. In summation, done all I could do. And there isn't any more that I can do. And I'm the governor, and I'm the head of this party. We're at a stalemate, is the term in which the Republicans use. So, in being in a stalemate, Democrats have said the Republicans have lacked the will, their phrase, their wording, to even try to want to put together a third iteration of a map. They have lacked the will. And because they have lacked the will to even try, and what the Democrats mean by they have lacked the will is that the Republican majority has come out and they have said, and I quote, "It is impossible to comply with the court's redistricting demands." It is impossible for us to comply. And last time I checked, I don't care how big, bad, Boone Herring you are. You always, whether you do it now or you do it later, have to comply with a court order. It's a court order for a reason. Only way I would not have to comply with a court order is if we did a story on something and I was protecting a source, I would be covered by First Amendment rights. But other than that, any and everything, I don't care who you are, even a reporter, with the exception of that example I just gave you, you would have to comply with a court order. And the Republicans say, look, I ain't got to comply with shit. I can't comply with it. I've done all I can do. And so the court, the Chief Justice, they've asked for an explanation on why they feel that they can't comply and they shouldn't comply with the court order. And she wants that back by noon on Wednesday. And when they get it back on Wednesday, if they don't get it back by Wednesday, I should say, and they don't come up with a decision by Wednesday, or even a response, they're going to be held in contempt of court. What does contempt of court mean? Because I need you all to understand the severity of this conversation and what I'm trying to zone in on tonight. What does contempt of court mean? It means, simply put, that you disobeyed an order from a court. You didn't comply. You simply didn't recognize the court and all their might and power, and going to hold you in contempt of a court. Let me give you an example of a contempt of court. If I'm in a courtroom and I stand up and yell out, "He's a liar," and the judge tells me to sit down, and I don't sit down, and I continue to yell out, "He's a liar, he's a liar," she can hold my ass in contempt of court, she or he. I say she because we refer to the scales of justice as in the feminine. And when she holds me in contempt of court, the judge, she can fine my black ass or she can lock my black ass up. Because I didn't comply with her orders when she told my black ass to sit the hell down. When she ordered me to. Let me give you another example of how you could be held in contempt of court. By improperly communicating with jurors outside of a courtroom, or refusing to turn over subpoenaed evidence and refusing to pay court-ordered child support. So when you refuse to pay us child support, you can be held in contempt of court until you pay your child support and locked up. So, contempt of court. Contempt of court. And I do need you to understand that I just gave you, because there are two versions of contempt of court. There is the criminal, and some of the examples I gave you were criminal versions of contempt of court, and some were civil versions of contempt of court. Here, what we are talking about when it pertains to the GOP and State House, they would be held in civil contempt of court, meaning that them saying and not giving an explanation to why they cannot draw a map by noon on Wednesday, they'll be held in contempt of court, and they could either be fined or they could even possibly be jailed. I highly doubt that they will. That's only time you're typically jailed when it comes to civil is very, very rare cases, but they can have to pay the court restitution. Charges money. We're in uncharted times. We are in uncharted times and uncharted waters when it comes to redistricting thing. And my whole problem with it is, why can't we all just be able to vote equally? But that's just wishful thinking, or not even vote equally. Why why are you stripping us of voting rights, period? But that's another conversation for another day. That really is another conversation for another day. So I'm gonna take a quick break here, and we'll be right back after this.
First of all, he might not have been able to go ahead and get away with that, fighting all of our ancestors and shit like that, bro.
Because they was mad. Like, first off, there's a major snitch in the city of Columbus.
Absolutely. Just put him.
So, got one final thing we need to talk about tonight. Just one last thing, and that's Columbus City Schools. We got to talk about that and everything that's going on with that, and mainly right now, one of the big topics with them is they simply can't find substitute teachers. Let's talk about it.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no.
Let's talk about it in our new segment I'm calling Things We Say Hell to the Gnaw about. And I am saying hell to the gnaw with the way Columbus City Schools right now is really how they're effectively handling everything from school bus drivers to the staffing of schools to the decision on whether at the 11th hour to keep schools open. I'm saying hell no to all that. I'm saying hell no to the superintendents. I'm saying hell no to her fucking raise almost $270,000. She gets a car stipend, and my mom, when she heard about it, she called me and said, "DaVante, why is the superintendent getting a car stipend? She got a driver?" I'm like, "No, she drives herself, Mom, but they're giving her a car stipend." She's like, "A car stipend, and she's making 200." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, it don't make sense. It don't make sense at all." And all the while I'm saying, "Oh, somebody make it make sense," but it doesn't. But right now, because of everything that's going on, the district has a 30% substitute fill rate. So what that means, everybody, is if the district has 100 teachers who get up and decide to call off tomorrow, they only have 30 substitutes to fill those positions. So they are short 70, meaning that they got a fucking problem, and we got a fucking problem too. And the reason why I say that is, let's do the math. 30% fill rate, 100 teachers call off. We have 30 substitutes, 100 teachers called off, 30 substitutes. 70 classrooms around the city aren't going to 70 students around in the district, 70 classrooms aren't going to have teachers. Why would 100 teachers all call off at once? For a number of different things. We would call it the blue flu, is what it's typically referred to as when that happens, the blue flu, and you do it to try and get more help. But the district is saying that, and this comes from the chief spokesperson Chief Elaine Bryant at the district is what she's telling the dispatch today is that, and I quote, "Our substitute fill rate is incredibly difficult to quantify because we reassigned teachers to be substitutes this year, and we are not capturing that in the fill rate in our system." I had to laugh. So what I'm trying to figure out, and the reason why I'm laughing is because why in the world, if you're already short teachers, would you switch some teachers over to being substitute teachers? And then why would you have a computer system that doesn't account for that? Seems like a waste of money. And it seems like the school board has been wasting a lot of money. And you all on the school board are getting ready to ask us to raise our property taxes more here in a couple weeks. But yet, we have a problem finding substitute teachers. We have a problem finding regular teachers. We have all of these busing. We have all these other different problems, and yet you want to ask us as the voter for me to pay more on my property taxes so you can do more. It doesn't seem like you're effectively managing money correctly. But here's what strikes me. Here's what the Columbus Education Association president Caliglio, I'm slipping on his first name, but his last name is Caliglio, what he had to say. And what he said is, and I quote, "We try to do the best we can as teachers to cover the material and to get kids what they need and answer any questions, but it's not like having a highly qualified teacher in front of them." But according to Frontline, let me push this conversation a little further very quickly. According to Frontline Research and the Learning Institute, and what they do is they collect and analyze a ton of information and a ton of data from across the country for grades kindergarten to 12th grade when it comes to education data. What they said is before COVID hit, and before the pandemic, that the national average substitute fill rate was about 80%. So for those of you that are just joining us or didn't understand it when I first explained it, let me explain fill rate to you one more time. So if the national average prior to the pandemic was 80%, what that means is if 100 teachers call off tomorrow, we here nationally, each school district would have roughly 80 teachers to fill those 100 slots. Now we're in a better positioning. 80 to 100, those 20 classes that don't have coverage, we can break them off and divide them around the school. So yeah, now we can work with that. That's a lot better of a number. But here locally, what the problem is that there aren't even enough substitute teachers for one public high school or even a middle school. And other teachers in that school, they have been forced to cover those absences, whether it's in their area of expertise and what they are in a subject that they were hired to teach or whatnot. And that's what Caliglio is telling and has said on the record to the Columbus Dispatch. So let me give you an example. I have a sister who is in middle school, and she came home last week and said that her social studies teacher, or history, both the same thing, one and the same, was out, didn't have a substitute. So she ended up having to go to an English class because they were all broken up. because they couldn't find nobody to cover that class. So they broke up that teacher's class. And so instead of learning social studies or history when you're supposed to be learning social studies and history, you're now getting a double dose of English. And vice versa happens too. So if a math teacher's out, then and there's no coverage, then you could be asked to go to a gym class, and a gym teacher doesn't necessarily know how to teach the advanced quantum physics and algebra and things like that, and in geometry. We have had this problem for a very, very long time, and yet nothing's going on. So Columbus City Schools, they have 616 active substitute teachers currently, according to the spokesperson for the district's their chief spokesperson, Jacqueline Bryant. What they would like to have is 740 substitute teachers, but they only have 616. 740 is the target number, the goal number. They have 616. Simple math, right? But that's not even part of the problem, part of the story. With the shortage of substitute teachers. Now, tomorrow, we are going to talk about how there's a shortage of custodians, too, and how some buildings, they're just getting cleaned. They aren't even able to come in and do a really COVID deep clean because they're so short-staffed. We're going to talk about that and continue this story tomorrow, because we so often only hear about the busing staff shortages, but we never really get into, the teaching shortages and the cleaning shortages and all of that sort of thing. It's a lot to run a school district, and I'm sure all of you a couple weeks ago, it was about 2.5 weeks ago now, probably 3, were pissed when they decided to close schools at like 6:11 a.m. Like, that's unheard of. And we have been told and patronized and told time and time again that it's impossible for them to close schools that late, make the decision because buses are already out on route and because Columbus City Schools is the largest, as they like to tout, school district in the state, that they can't do, but they did it because of staffing shortages. And these things are going to continue to be a problem. Now, my whole solution for all of this was, and my whole ideal was, and I have challenged current and now former school board members on this, and they said their people told them it was best, and all their researchers told them it was best and safe for students to be back in school and more wiser for them to be in school. I said I agree with that, but you should have stayed on asynchrony and besynchrony days, meaning Monday and Tuesday this group of students goes to school, Thursday and Friday this group of students goes to school, on Wednesday everybody's remote, giving custodial staff time to effectively COVID clean the building. But yet we needed to go full throttle to show everybody that we were the best, the biggest, and the baddest. It had it all under control when we know we didn't have shit under control. Yes, we all want our kids back in school, but we want them back in the school safely. We want them back in the schools being able to learn. And at this juncture, at this point, if we're having a gym teacher cover a math class because we simply don't have enough substitute teachers with the right credentials to even begin to cover that class, why even in a couple weeks bring to us on the ballot another levy asking us to approve new school buildings for you to build these new school buildings when you can't do shit with the money you got now? But I'm going to leave that there. And we're going to come back come back to this tomorrow night and talk about this from a custodial staff members' perspective, because I've talked to so many custodial staff members over this past year, and the story's always the same, and I'm going to share some of their stories with you on tomorrow night. So that's going to do it for us tonight. But before we go, to remember to support Black-owned media, because whether we are in our remote studio or in our studios just literally minutes from downtown off of 670 and Leonard Avenue, what makes this all possible is by your financial support. So what we are trying to do here at Unboss, both on our entertainment division and on our news division, is to get 20,000 of you all giving an average of $50 a year annually to make up $1 million. Last year, I told you all gave roughly somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000, which was able to help us bring on new staff members, bring on equipment, the studios. You all made it work in the midst of a pandemic, and I was happy for all that you gave. I'm happy for those of you who give $1. I'm happy for those of you who give 50 cents. Anything you can give to us, and you can give to us on a Cash App at Unboss Fan Club. And later this week we'll have a graphic, and I'll have up our address where because I know some of you don't like using Zelle and PayPal and all of that. You still like to write out checks or write money orders. I have a couple of our viewers who tune in faithfully, just like all of you all, and they prefer to write a check, and the other prefers to write a money order. And so we'll be providing you with our address for that, so you'll be able to do that. Also, you all want to stay tuned. I'm getting told to wrap up now, because I'm looking at the computer right now, and the producer on the Zoom, he's telling me to wrap up. But look, this is what happens when you own the network. Let me just tell you, in the next couple of weeks, you are going to see everything that you all have made possible, that we've been working on, come to fruition. You're going to see it air, all of the variety of different shows. Oh my God, we have a bunch of them, and we have a bunch more in development. And then the type of coverage we are about to begin doing of different events, not just around the city, but around the country, you aren't going to get anywhere else. You aren't going to get it anywhere else. So, hey, that's all the time we got today. It's the end of the show. That's all I got. I want you all to remember this. I don't want no laughing. I don't want no crying. And most of all, I don't want no signifying. Raise your hand and make a fist. And remember this: This is Unbossed Town, ladies and gentlemen. This is your and my cities. We'll see you tomorrow night. Love y'all.
I believe that I haven't spoke to my father in almost a year,
Let's go to Dayton, Ohio now, where the second mass shooting in the United States has occurred in just 13 hours.
Green. The year 2019 was the worst year I ever had in my life. At the end of May, my house was taken away by the tornadoes that hit Dayton, Ohio. The first day that I ended up getting out to hang out with my father, August 4th, 2019, mass shooter come walking down the side of the building and open fire, killing 9 in 32 seconds and injuring multiple people.
Newly released video shows panicked patrons screaming and taking cover in a nearby bomb.
Into purpose and power, I created my foundation, the Fudge Foundation. It stands for my father's name, Derek Fudge. It stands for Flourishing Under Distress, Giving Encouragement. I've been helping survivors get the resources they need. We are the ones that are still here living.
First of all, he might not have been able to go ahead and get away with that. Fighting all of our ancestors and shit like that, bro.
Because they was mad. Like, first off, there's a major snitch in the city of Columbus.
Absolutely. Just put him.